What's up, guys? It's Benny. It is officially D-Day for the Somali fraudsters who've been running fake daycares and fake healthcare companies in order to rip off the American taxpayers. The vast majority of these payments come from Health and Human Services, Medicaid and Medicare. These are the payments that fund the autism and the child care and the food services and, of course, the healthcare services for these fake Somali fraudsters. Without HHS, they can't get their money. And lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, this man is in charge of HHS. And he doesn't like it when you steal from American children who actually need real health care. RFK Jr. has officially dropped the hammer on the Somali fraudsters. This is the most severe action we have seen yet. HHS Secretary RFK Jr. has ended all child care payments for the state of Minnesota, the entire state. Well, Benny, doesn't that seem harsh? Shouldn't you just be Minneapolis? Shut up. This is how you make them pay. You have to extract pain. So for the Democrats who are there screaming about their legitimate child care center, well, then you shouldn't have supported a party that allowed this fraud in the first place. Now you're going to suffer. The entire state will now suffer, and people who have legitimate daycares will not get their expenses. Maybe they shouldn't be getting expenses at all. I think we could have that a conversation, but they will not be getting anything because of the Somali fraud. This is how you actually root it out from the ground level. So you create an environment where 99% of the state revolts against the Somali fraudsters, and you get them out. Check this out. We have frozen all child care payments to the state of Minnesota. We have turned off the money spigot, and we are finding the fraud, HHS said in a statement. You have probably read the serious allegations the state of Minnesota has funneled millions of taxpayer dollars to fraudulent daycares across Minnesota for the past decade. HHS took 3 severe penalty actions against Minnesota today. They've activated the defend the spend system for all child care payments. Starting today, all child care payments across America will require justification and a receipt, photo evidence before we send any money to the state. Identified the malicious actors in Nick Shirley's work, demanded Governor Tim Walz's comprehensive audit of these centers. This includes attendance records, licenses, complaints, investigations, and inspections, and launched a dedicated fraud reporting hotline and email address at childcare.gov. Whether you are a parent, provider, or member of the general public, we want to hear from you. Absolutely massive, ladies and gentlemen. HHS freezes all child care payments to Minnesota, investigates allegations of widespread fraud. Check it out. Here we go. This is the post and the video from Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill of HHS. I'll play you their video in just a moment. Some of the reactions from HHS here. Officially, you can help the Trump administration stop bad actors from defrauding the American people, launching a child care concern hotline. Violations will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This is them quote tweeting Nick Shirley's video. I was wondering when HHS would hop in here. This is obviously the big boy, you know? Again, all these payments, the vast majority of the payments are not coming from the Department of Labor. They're not coming from the Pentagon. They're not coming from the IRS or the Small Business Administration. They're coming from HHS. They're coming from Medicare and Medicaid services. Absolutely massive breaking. Nick Shirley, I love how the mainstream media and anti-truth talking heads are calling me out while the government is actually finding fraud because it's true. Yes. Rather than researching the fraud you exposed, mainstream media will spend the next several weeks attempting to uncover parking tickets you received 3 years ago. I know how, says Nick Sotor. This is, again, turning into a whole of government operation. You can see here Kash Patel saying that the fraud probes were buried under Biden. Patel went to Minnesota to oversee the investigations to confirm progress was being made. He said that these fraud allegations were all buried under the Biden DOJ. That doesn't surprise anybody. Labor has cracked down. This the Secretary of Labor right here. Secretary Lori Chavez de Remer has cracked down. They say that there's massive unemployment fraud potentially in the billions. That's what they can oversee. The Small Business Administration, led by Kelly Loeffler, has also cracked down, cut off all funds to Minnesota. Their funds would be the funding of small businesses, and this could be to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars that they have completely slammed the door shut on. And this is how you, again, extract pain. And of course, the FBI talking this past weekend about exactly what they're planning on doing in Minnesota, surging their agency, their resources. We saw, no knock investigations being done on Somali fraudsters yesterday throughout Minneapolis. And they said that there has been 90 different defendants of Somali descent who have been indicted for fraud. So this is going to be a massive, massive operation, and it needs to be a massive operation. This breaking right now, DHS confirming that they are actively auditing immigration cases for Somali U.S. citizens and looking for fraud that would warrant potential denaturalization, stripping of U.S. citizenship. They're auditing cases for migrants from 18 other countries of concern. This is from DHS statement. Under U.S. law, if an individual procure citizenship on a fraudulent basis, that's grounds for denaturalization. Several GOP members of Congress have called for Somalis convicted of Minnesota fraud scheme to be denaturalized and deported. Denaturalization is a very rare process, typically only between a dozen or a few dozen cases per year going back to the 1990s. Lengthy, resource-intensive, high legal burden to meet. The government must prove illegal procurement during the citizenship process. Marriage fraud, false representation of citizenship, etc., will be things the DHS will be looking at. Well, I can point you to Ilhan Omar, some marriage fraud. If you'd like to, if you'd like a marriage fraud, I got one for you right there. Why is this so critically important that the Trump administration act immediately? Well, you work your entire life, your fingers to the bone. You work every single holiday, weekend for 55 years. You pay millions of dollars in taxes. Well, Benny, I just pay like 30% in taxes. Okay, well, guess what? You also pay property taxes. You also pay sales taxes. You pay estate taxes. You pay all manner of taxes. Yeah, boy, I pay taxes you've never even heard of. And so this is a moment that the Trump administration has got to restore Americans' faith in the system, that all of the taxes that I'll pay in my lifetime, which will be millions of dollars, and same with you, millions of dollars in your lifetime and mine, add it all up, that's not going to a Somali fraudster to pay and to fund more Democrats to tax me even more, and then to send some of that money back to militant Islamists. Yeah, I mean that's the destruction of the system right there. So it better happen, and it has to happen now. It has to be shock and awe. It has to be biblical, pillar of fire and salt. And Minneapolis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe if you want to see the Minneapolis fraudsters deported. See ya.